Hey, this is John Assaraf, and congratulations on making a smart decision to own the amazing new book, Turning Crisis into Success, written by Richard Jaffe and Charly. And we thought it would be fun for you to go deeper into the book. And there are 7 key ingredients within the book that are worth diving deeper into so you understand from Richard and Charly's perspective how they integrate it into their lives and business and how you can as well. So where did this idea of 7 key ingredients come from to begin with?
Actually, I've given talks to MBA students, business school students, and explaining to them the common themes between happiness and success.
Love it. And so I know the first key ingredients is controlling your thoughts. Easier said than done. So what's your experience been like with the key ingredient number 1?
It's been interesting. This is the one that my dad and I definitely had the most different perspectives on. So I would say he's a total wizard at this. It's
experience.
Yes, absolutely.
I've learned over what works for me.
And it's really a testament to his ability to be sort of unrelentingly high-flying, just soaring. Whereas for me, my personal life experience has been one where I haven't had control over my thoughts. In my perspective, we can't control the thoughts, feelings, images that arise in our head. What we can do is start to begin to control and work with our reaction to those. So for me, as someone who experienced post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic severe depression, eating disorder, like I had very real, very ruthless teachers in thoughts and feelings I couldn't control. So when I first heard this, I got a bit defensive because I heard controlling our thoughts, and to me, I interpreted that as, well, I couldn't control what came up, therefore I wasn't successful. And that's not the case at all. And so it's really, when we break this down, it's about learning how to control our reactions to our thoughts, and in the long term, then that work actually can shift what arises in our heads. But being able to have that shift was really, really powerful for me, and that process and experience has completely changed my life.
Richard, I've got a slightly different question for you on that. Were you always able to control your thoughts and your emotions, or was that a skill you learned?
I think it's a combination of both. So I've been blessed to think positive. I always see not the glass is half full or half empty. My glass is always overflowing. That's just the way I look at it. But I think, as opposed to Charly, where she is reacting to thoughts coming in, I actually cut off thoughts. So as soon as I start losing my happiness, I immediately stop and change my thinking. Growing up, I told the kids, if you don't like the way you feel, change the way you think. Now, as teenagers, they hated to hear it, but they're starting to learn that it's true. So for me, I think what I did is that, when bad things happened to me, I had pity parties. It wasn't easy. And even today, to hold my own happiness together, we start to lose it. But as soon as I feel like I'm losing, I change the way I think.
Love it.
I look at the positive side. I look at all the other things. So when I say controlling my thoughts come into my head, I can't control. But as soon as I realize it's not what I want to think about, I say the mind is like a fertile garden. It grows everything. And if positive thoughts come in, it grows positive. If negative thoughts come in, it grows negative. So we've got to get the weeds out. We've got to keep our mind thinking positive and where we want to go, and not become victim to any thoughts we have.
Love it. And one of the things I know about you specifically, I'm not sure about you, Charly, on this particular point, is I know you meditate as well. So you have learned to be aware of your thoughts and also recognize you are not your thoughts, you have thoughts.
Correct.
So that is one of your disciplines to be able to learn that skill. Would you agree with that?
I've been meditating for over 45 years. Okay, it's something that's been a pillar for me. It doesn't answer problems I have.
Right.
But Charly had a great phrase in the book. She says, it softens the edges of the challenges I have. And it's always when I'm under stress or fear, okay, while I'm meditating, it goes away. It comes back as soon as I go off.
Love it.
So that's one of the tools. Gratitude practice is another one. Wherever I'm going the wrong way, I turn around and look at, what am I grateful for? There's so much we all have to be grateful for. Or forgiveness, okay? Where if I feel bad or somebody's creating internally for me bad things, is I really practice forgiveness. So those 3 foundations have really helped me stay as positive and change my thoughts and stay focused.
Love it. And Charlie, do you meditate as well? Do you use
Yeah.
mindfulness or
Yeah,
anything
so
like that?
meditation has been a huge part of my practice, my development, my ability to really rewire my mind. And so when I talk about changing our reactions to the thoughts and feelings that come up in our head, really what I think meditation has really helped with is it's given me the space, right? The space to be able to pause and not just instantly react. And in that space is where I found a lot of power, because it gives me choice. And so I've really, really loved that. And obviously things like gratitude, forgiveness has been huge in my life. Also, whether you want to call it surrender or acceptance, but oftentimes when experiencing overwhelming thoughts or feelings or things like that, the hardest part isn't actually that experience or that emotion, it's our interpretation of it, right? So it's getting anxiety about our anxiety or whatever that is. And so being able to have an acceptance of where we're at takes off those extra layers and allows it to, I think, flow through us a lot more quickly. So it's not saying, it's all going to be happy dandy and everything's
Right.
going to be amazing, but it's saying, okay, like this is a hard experience. How do I let this move through me? How do I learn from it and work with it rather than by resisting it, actually keeping it there longer?
John, one of the tools to controlling our thoughts that I think has been absolutely critical in my ability to stay happy is accepting the things I can't change. For whatever reason, I have a very good ability when something happens, if I can't change it, I accept it, move on. And so I don't waste my time and energy focusing on things that don't make a difference. I'm really more efficient because I accept it, I move on, and then I try and make it the way I want. And I also say, I like to tell our salespeople and our business people is, don't change the present, create the future. So don't accept what you have and make something a little better. Look to the future, create what you want. Create in your mind the vision of the life you want, and then live into it. Don't accept what you're given today.
Love it. Great, great lessons. On point number 2, or ingredient number 2, persistence. Now, I think it was Andrew Carnegie says, persistence is to success what iron is to steel.
Great line.
Right? And so, persistence. What does that mean for you? What's the lesson here in persistence?
Well, I would say it's getting a little bit granular about it, because persistence isn't just showing up, right? Like you can show up again and again and never really get anywhere. It's about working smarter, not just harder. So if you're going to be persisting in something, if you're really looking to achieve and take great stride, there's going to be great risk and great rejection. And so to us, and having this conversation about persistence, it's really about how do you change your relationship with rejection and with the obstacles that come up. Because if you see those as something pushing against you, it's going to get exhausting. Whereas if we can see them as teachers, if we can see them as advisors, things that are able to give us information on what are the objections we haven't overcome, then all of a sudden we can take the information that comes with that and then come back with a different approach, a better approach, where we can actually be coming from a place of service. And so it's obviously a little bit different if you're in sales, if you're in business, if it's your personal life, but any situation we're in, if you're getting rejection, if you're getting pushback, that's an opportunity. So persistence really becomes a lesson in not just how do you continue to show up, but how do you do it in a way that actually helps you and energizes you as you move forward.
Love it. Richard?
I think bad things happen to me because there are lessons to learn. And they keep happening over and over till they learn that lesson. Once I learn that lesson, that stops, another bad thing happens. So life is a series of challenges, of lessons, as Charlie said.
Crisis to success.
But the issue is, and how do you do that with your emotional stability? How do you do that and accept it, when it happens and move forward? The discussion we've had that's been really interesting that Charlie challenged me with recently is, when do you know when to keep persisting and when do you pivot? And that's an interesting challenge. And my answer to her is, you never stop persisting. What you do is you change your target. So if we want something, and we go after it, no is the first step of any sale. When someone says yes, you're just taking an order.
Right.
When someone says no, the next lesson is they're saying no because they have objections you don't know. And the key is, how do you overcome the objections? And you've got to wean them out, take them out one at a time, and understand that. So it's not, you don't ask the same thing over and over, you ask the same thing different ways. and you keep drawing out, because once you overcome all their objections, okay, you'll get whatever you want. So the issue is, I don't believe you ever stop persisting. You just change where you persist to, okay? Both in personal. Now, there are some times where you have to cut it off and move on.
Right.
You accept things and you say, my goal, you keep persisting, but your goal's changed.
Love it. Awesome. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because I'm learning as I'm sitting here. Let's go into secret ingredient number 3, I'm going to call it. It's like a secret ingredient list. So it's connecting from the heart. And I notice you're always connecting to your daughter with some kinesthetic love and affection, and you're always connecting from your heart. In our friendship, you're always coming from the heart from a place of service and kindness and love. I'm going to get to that in just a moment with you, but I'm going to go to Charly. What does that mean for you? You're launching your career, school career, new book. What does connecting from the heart really mean for you? And what have you observed in how your father and your mother have done this over the years?
Yeah, I think I've been incredibly lucky in having an example of 2 parents that are just so passionately in love. And when I look at that, a lot of it really comes from this basis of they both really trust each other, they respect each other, but they genuinely want to do what is best for the other one. I think that's such a strong basis. So if you are looking at life-changing relationships in business, it still comes from that place of really having an authentic desire to support other people and to care about other people. And a lot of times people might be able to think like, oh, I can go after someone because I want something from them, and they can't tell the difference. But you can feel that. So
Sure.
For really life-changing relationships, I think it comes with a genuine care and concern for the other person, but B, a willingness to be vulnerable, a willingness to let yourself be seen, and to want to see others. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes we're like, okay, yeah, I want to be seen, but like only from this angle, and like with this thing, and like in this aspect that I want to see, and that's not real. Like, we can do that, but there's a cost and there's a sacrifice to it. So for me, in my life, it's really, I've not always been completely open. Yeah, sure. There was a very long time where I kept my struggles with mental health a secret, where I kept so many aspects of myself hidden because it didn't match up with the identity of who I was. And really, I think the key for me was learning to fully see myself, fully accept myself, and then I could actually bring my full self to other people. And I had no idea how much that would change my life. And when my dad does talk about things becoming magnetic and things coming to you, when I started really owning all of myself, it was amazing how much the world around me changed in its relationship to me. So I think you know, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whether it's professional, like every type of relationship I've experienced is completely different when you can do that. And it's, again, one of those things that's much easier said than done.
Sure.
But I got some great role models with it.
So Richard, connecting from the heart, where did that come from for you?
You know, I've been blessed. I grew up with a very loving family, wonderful parents, okay? And so I've been surrounded by love, okay? And at an early age, I learned to love myself. And so what really happens is, I mean, life is all about connections, about relationships, authentic, loving relationships. People do things in life for people they care about. And you can't fake caring. Great salespeople are great salespeople because they care about their customers.
They do something for somebody, not to somebody.
Correct.
Yeah.
So one of the universal truths in life is called giver's gain, okay? And what that is, what you give, you get back. If you want love, you give love. You want trust, you give trust. You want money, you give money. So the real issue is you connect heart to heart because you care about people. And when you give people what they want, they will give you you want. You don't take first, you give first. And throughout my career, with all the crises you go through, as you read the book, you'll see that I asked people to help me, but I've always helped other people. And where I give one place, it comes back somewhere else.
Incredible, isn't it? It's like a boomerang.
It is, but the real issue is because success is what we create for ourselves, and significance is what we create for other people. And as we get older and have a little more experience, we realize it's not about material wealth. It's not about having things. It's about sharing them. Okay, it's about helping others, even helping others you don't even know, and they don't even know it. And that, it just grows, and your whole soul grows. And it's just an emotional thing. So that's always been really important to me. I've been very affectionate, okay? with my family, with my friends, and that's just the way I am. But I've been blessed. I was helped. Now, it's not easy for some people. Some people haven't been raised that way. They have different programs, but it doesn't mean they can't learn it.
Love it. All right, so let's get into ingredient number 4, and it's do today what feels good tomorrow. That's a unique one, right? Do today what feels good tomorrow. What's that all about? Who's going to go first?
Go ahead, Charlie.
So this one is probably not necessarily a fan favorite, as it's just sort of speaking some truth in terms of sometimes you have to just do what needs to be done and it doesn't feel good. It requires, I think, 2 pieces. So the first is awareness, right? A lot of times I think we choose the path of least resistance, the most convenient, because it hurts less today. It's most pleasant today, but we end up paying more for it down the road. So one piece is just that awareness to see what are the different costs that we're paying. And
we're always paying a price, right?
Exactly. And ignorance is not always bliss. Oftentimes when we don't realize the costs we're paying a lot more. But the second piece is just that discipline. It goes back to there's a military phrase, I think it's within the Marines, where they say, embrace the suck. And sometimes when you're in that really rough position, there is no talking your way out of it. It just sucks. And rather than resisting it or trying to avoid it, the key to getting through it the best way possible is embrace the suck, is just recognize that it doesn't feel good right now and move through it as quickly as possible. And so that ability to not resist when we're in a hard place, but actually just see what needs to be done and do it, I think that can be sometimes the hardest, but the most useful piece of it.
Yeah, it's a great pearl of wisdom. Jim Rohn, who you probably know is a wonderful philosopher, he's passed on. He said, you're either going to pay the price of discipline or you're going to pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
The challenge, John, is a lot of people don't know. Everyone wants to be happy tomorrow. Everyone wants to be happy.
And successful.
And
wealthy. And in great shape.
But a lot of times people don't know what they have to do today to make them feel that tomorrow. And as we have choices every day, as we think through, today's generation is really immediate gratification. How do I get things today? Everything's at their fingertips. But really, to be happy long term, okay, is you do things today that be tomorrow. You eat well. The things you do today that have lasting effect. Okay, so people need to learn themselves what makes them happy, what makes them feel good. Okay, people don't like to feel bad, and then start following that. Right. And it doesn't come overnight. You don't just snap into it. You take a step and then another step. Okay, it's not the same for everybody, but the real key is to keep the mindset that I want to make sure I'm choosing to do today. Okay, what it's going to feel good tomorrow. Not everything. But you start thinking along those lines.
Yeah, and I think you see it in sort of obviously things like physicality and whatnot. But I think one of the really big ones, and yes, social media is challenging, but this one we inherited from our parents and the generations before that, is on an emotional level. And it's much easier to miss. So when we are avoiding, or we're numbing, or we're obsessing with things, or we're just projecting and putting it on to everyone else, like these are different ways that we are able to maybe pay a little bit of a lower price today, not deal with the emotions that are driving that, and then down the line, we don't realize how much we've paid for it because there's the weight of what hasn't been resolved, but there's also the weight of what we've used to avoid it, and that can oftentimes cause a lot more damage than that initial little obnoxious thing under there driving it all. And so the awareness and the humility to actually really look at that and to face it full on and not just continue to go down the path of least resistance. There's a lot of layers to that, and there's so many different ways that it can show up, but seeing it as an opportunity rather than like, oh, another thing on my list also makes a difference.
Also realizing you're making a choice. So everything we choose today, we're choosing. And sometimes just having the mindset or the vision to realize it's not just about this moment. Okay, that whatever we do now has consequences, and we choose them. And doesn't mean we always choose good ones. I don't always choose good ones.
Sure.
Okay, but we learn from it. And when we do something that doesn't feel good, try not to do it again.
Right. And as you said, Charlie, it's becoming aware and then shifting and making better decisions and choices.
Correct.
Love it. So that takes me to ingredient number 5. It says, see the outcome and manage backwards. See the outcome and manage backwards.
So I'll start that one. I mean, that's a very big one for me because you don't build a house one room at a time. What you do is you create an entire plan, then you execute. And in our lives too, if we don't know where we want to go, how do we know the decision we're making today are taking us closer or further away? So it really is, it's so much easier picking an outcome and then say, here's how I get there, than starting to say, I'm going to take this step, then this step, and you end up going crooked. So it's really important to really visualize, to understand, to think about where you want to be, what your goals are, okay? Who do you want to share it with, things like that, and then work your way back.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think, well, so what's interesting with this one is because my life in the past number of years has really shifted from plan. I went from working BBC News, within journalism, Google, and Silicon Valley, all these different plans, to I'm just going to go backpacking for a little bit, and then
4 months.
4 months turned into moving into Australia, all these different things. But I would say that this frame of mind, you don't have to be in a here's my 10-year plan to bring this framework into what you're doing. So to me, it's been really valuable in this different period where I have had so much unpredictability. But I can still say, okay, for whatever I'm doing, whether it's coming up with a business plan or it's helping a student or having a hard conversation, is rather than focusing on what needs to be done now, focusing on, okay, what's the outcome of this?
Love it.
Whether it's short or long term, and allowing that to inform all the different pieces of our life.
But your journey through Asia was because you wanted to do a spiritual, you wanted to experience other things. So you were going to the outcome of where you wanted and choosing it and following that, and it led you different places.
Well, I would say that for me, I guess you could look at it and say, okay, my outcome is I actually chose unpredictability. I chose uncertainty, and the outcome that I wanted to see, what would uncertainty bring me?
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Let's shift to number 6, and that is find a passion and follow it. Now, a lot of people talk about find your passion, follow your bliss, and what does that mean for you, Richard?
Well, life is really short. We need to love what we do and who we do it with. And the real question is, and we've been discussing this recently, is what do you do when you have multiple passions? How do you pick one? And what do you do if you don't have any passion? Okay? And so I think the issue is when you don't have any passion, my encouragement to young people is to find someone else who has similar values, who's passionate about a product or service you really like, and follow them. Because ultimately they'll have other passionate people following them also. And then open yourself up, and if someone wants to do something that doesn't sound right, try it. Okay, when you surround yourself with passionate people, it follows you. Okay, and then once you find your own passion, and it doesn't have to be business, it could be personal, whatever, but it's just a matter of surround yourself with people who are passionate, who will go after them, who do good for you, for mankind. Okay, and it'll find its way into you.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, I sort of see two different sides with this one. And the first one being, which my dad touched on, is that the passion doesn't have to be your occupation. So oftentimes we think like, oh, I just need to find the perfect job that pays me the perfect money with all these perfects, and it sort of doesn't exist. Sometimes the answer is, okay, I have this job that fulfills my needs here, and I have this passion that if I tried to turn into a job would probably suck all the joy out of it. So I want to keep my passion over here and be able to fill my life that way, in that sense. And I see that as super valuable. I don't see that as a failure because you didn't turn it into a job. I would also say on the other piece, it's very easy to say, follow your passion and then go down a path where you're not actually able to manifest that into something. And so kind of connecting it with the ingredient right beforehand, see the outcome and work your way backwards. If you have a passion of making good in the world in a certain way or a certain career, and you look at things and say, okay, I think that this preparation, I'm not that passionate about, but this is a stepping stone to get me to where I want to be. So I didn't plan to work in Silicon Valley, but I had come to a place where I saw, okay, I really think that social entrepreneurship, affecting the world in that way, is really important to me. I've never studied business. Google, if I want to understand how business and technology can change the world, like that's the perfect place to go. So I didn't go to Google because I was passionate about selling online advertising.
Right.
I went there because I was passionate about having an impact on the world. And to me, that meant I could spend a couple years developing that skill set. And so it's not a find what you're passionate about, make that your life right now. It's also saying, okay, how does this start from the outcome, work your way back?
Love it.
How can I do that long term?
But while you were there, you found projects that you became passionate about. So Google was the vehicle to get you there, but you used your own personality, your mind, your desire to go help other people. And I think that's a real secret, is if you have no passion and you don't know what to do, you start going and finding something to help other people, and it's amazing how it starts to bubble up.
Yeah, when you put yourself in the environment and you find threads, right? Then you say, oh, let me try and weave something with this one. Let me see how this is done. So I love that.
And it's really amazing in the way in which, you know, my passions, I've gone in so many different directions, but there's so many opportunities that have come up where it's combined them in ways that I couldn't have predicted. So if we go at something and say, I'm going to follow this and it'll then connect with this and go in this way, like that, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah.
But when we continue to pursue things because we love them, the way they can show up together is so powerful. And especially amongst younger people with technology and the internet, we have access to so much more. So it's not surprising that people are multi-passionate about so many things.
Which is normal.
Yeah,
It's
a great example is I went whitewater rafting with my fraternity brothers a couple months ago. And one of the river guides, I said, how'd you ever get here? She says, well, I had no passion in life. I didn't know what to do. I started a job. And there was a girl who I knew who was just passionate about river rafting. And she invited me to come. And I said, no. Okay. And then her friend said, just come with me. So she did, and she became immensely passionate. She lives on the river, but there's a chance of being open. She didn't necessarily want to do it, but she found somebody who was passionate. Go with a beginner's mind. Open up. Be open to opportunities. You know, allow it. The universe will provide if we allow it to. We don't have to go out and push it.
I love what you said. Go with a beginner's mind and allow. And a lot of people, you said something earlier around surrendering. Surrendering isn't giving up. Surrendering is all about allowing. And so I love that. So leave a legacy. So I guess this is part of what this is about for Richard. And you're in the beginning of this journey with this new book. But leave a legacy. What does leaving a legacy mean for you at this stage of your life and career?
Where if I did disappear tomorrow, I would feel good about what has been left behind. And so a key to that for me is paying it forward. I've grown up with so much privilege, like having two amazing parents who are so in love and who love me. And the fact that when I did get sick, I didn't have to worry about finances or anything like that. I had so many gifts along the way and a lot of challenges, or teachers as I try to call them. And I think that the combination of those two is so powerful. So for me, leaving a legacy is paying it forward, it's what motivated me to be more open about my background, because that was very hard for me. Sure. Didn't want to do it, but for me, I saw, okay, I've had the privilege of all of this support. How can I support others? And one way of doing that was telling my own story. There's a lot of different ways that happens, but we all have unique circumstances, and whether it's with 100 people, 1 million people, one person, I think it's looking at how can we allow our experiences to benefit someone else? How can we take action to benefit someone else? And it's about that other person, but it's amazing how when we focus more on other people and how we can support, how that can really transform ourselves and our lives as well.
You know, what's also amazing is as you share your challenges and your lessons and the opportunities, that is actually what bonds us and binds us together. It's in those moments that we realize how much we're really alike, and that's what really causes the connection versus the, look how great I've experienced this or I've overcome this. People get connected at the level of their pain and their fears and their frustrations and their insecurities faster than they do at their successes.
Well, vulnerability takes down the walls.
Right.
it allows us like a magnet to connect heart to heart, as we talked about before. You know, for me, my legacy is my family. Okay, I got 3 beautiful kids and a wonderful angel of a wife. Okay, written a poetry book, which is a legacy that on all different times of my life. My wife and I helped build a kindergarten to 12th grade Jewish day school, which is a legacy, seeing these kids come out of it. And even this book here for me is a way to give back. What have I learned? You know, give back my knowledge, my experience, my philanthropy. It's a chance. But what I'm encouraging people today is just don't take a step. What do you want to be known for? Okay? And it can change over time.
Sure.
But have a purpose in your life. Have a direction of where you're living into. Life doesn't happen to you. Okay? We create the future. We create our lives. The way we think, the way we act, okay, attracts things into our lives. Okay? Now, some people have more privilege than others.
Sure.
Okay? And it's not easy. I tease a lot of times. I say my previous lives must have been awful because this one's pretty good. But we choose, and how we think and how we act. You know. But the answer is leave a legacy, do good for others, you know, and have a reason. So if and when the time comes, not when, it will come, but if it comes before you know that you have actually lived into your life and created what you wanted.
Love it. All right, so we have covered 7 ingredients for success. We've taken a little deeper dive into this amazing book, Turning Crisis into Success. I hope you've enjoyed a little deeper inside peek into Richard and Charly Jaffe's lives, philosophies, and the key ingredients that have helped make their lives what they are today. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure there's going to be many more opportunities for you to learn from these 2 amazing individuals. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Charly. That was awesome and awesome.